Do you see the reaction to it, and do you expect it to pass?
Yeah. So, Daniel, in terms of the impetus, we've largely been believers in, um, I guess, easing restrictions in terms of how teams can use their resources. So this is like in a similar vein, and really just getting, I guess, giving more flexibility to teams in terms of volume and creativity of transaction. Yeah, as we look at it, our league relative to the other major leagues, the basketball you can trade, you'll pick 7 years out. Hockey, I don't think there's any limitation. Obviously, baseball is the most restricted, but you can't trade picks at all. To us, 3 years is really probably more of like an arbitrary, marker in terms of like how far out you can, deploy your future assets. Honestly, like Daniel, I think like a lot of the, perhaps resistance is this idea that, a desperate general manager, a desperate head coach could, leverage a team's, future irresponsible. I think that's a little bit more rooted in fear than reality, though. And I think for two reasons. I think number one, there is always ownership oversight for every franchise. But two, probably the bigger point, like if you look back over the last 10 years, I think there have been 27 trades that have included a pick 3 years out. And of those 27, only three have included a first rounder, and only another four have included even day two picks. So like, I don't think you're all of a sudden going to see this trend where people are trading picks, 4 or 5 years out. I think those are very rare circumstances. But what it does do is it gives you more creative alternatives for, I would say, maybe less signature or less aggressive moves because of how you want to balance the discounting of present versus future assets.
Is there a rigid rule now? There seems to be confusion. Is it an NFL rule you can only trade in 3 years out? Is it more of an others?
No, it's a rule.
Yeah, that's a rule.
So if you were the receiving GM of a trade, how do you devalue a pick 3 years in advance?
Yeah. So
Number one.
yeah, no, it's a great question, Tony. So traditionally, I'd say, let me back up. Every team probably has their own methodology. Traditional discounting is like you discount it or discount it around. Now there will be varying opinions of if that's like an effective, valuation of future picks. But I think that's what actually creates some unique transactional opportunities because teams will value present versus future picks much differently. And it just gives you more opportunities for creative solutions that benefit both sides.